Welcome back. It's so exciting to see you all back again. 3 weeks of focus, execution, and hustle, as they say, can really make the difference, isn't it? I can't believe this is the 6th video already. Anyways, let's keep going and continue. I will continue to make content for this series so that you all can use it. I'm doing my best to improve the overall content. Please help me out by putting your comments and feedbacks, if you have any, on the comment section down below. And most importantly, like, share, and subscribe to show support. I'm still camera shy and I might look weird here and there talking to you all through this lens. Please ignore it. I use the content though. Let me briefly bring up what's coming up in this video. Since this video is about part 3, short conversation, we will mainly talk about the following. First, I'll briefly highlight some of the changes in this part, the new version of the TOEIC 2020 TOEIC test. Second, I will talk the types of questions that will be asked in this part. And third, we will do a couple of questions together. So please stick around till the end. Let's talk about the changes first. Previously, there used to be 10 conversations with 3 questions each, but now we have 13 conversations with the same number of questions each. So this is the new TOEIC test format compared to the older version. So if I remove all the parts from this part and then keep only part 3, so as you can see, the questions has been increased from 30 to 39. Another change in this part is the questions with graphics. So there are 3 conversations with graphics. You'll have to look at the graphics and answer the question simultaneously. Conversations are quite short and last only about 25 seconds. The subject matter of this conversation can cover a range of topics, from standard business interaction to personal topics. For example, the topics for part 3 may include deadlines, documents or equipments, restaurant, real estate and retail, raises, promotions or training, travel, hotels, free time activities, or maybe can also consist of contract, sales, and expenses. Followed by the conversation will be 3 spoken statements, 4 written statements in the answer stem. So I have analyzed the type of questions in this part and found out that there are only 3 types of questions. The types of questions that will be asked are, first one is topic or main idea questions. The next one is detailed questions, and the third one is called the inference questions. So the details question can actually be further divided into 5 types, which I will talk to you, or I will explain to you later on. So let's talk about the questions about main idea first. So this type of questions require you to look at the details and context of the conversation to find the main theme the speakers are talking about. The topics can be anything from location or occupation or activities. And you have to pay attention to the beginning of the conversation and use vocabulary clues. So when I say use vocabulary clues, it means some correct answers will not be directly stated. You will have to look at a paraphrased version in the conversation. You must listen to a slightly changed information to find the answer. You can see some of the examples of main idea questions on your screen. So after this one, I will also put some of the vocabulary clues in the next slide. In the following 2 slides, you will see some of the vocabularies related to warehouse, office, doctor's office, bank, airport, hotel, police station, taxi, theater, retail store, restaurant, real estate agency, train station, post office, and a laboratory. So you can pause the video and continue at your own pace. These are common words in the conversation in the TOEIC test, and it will really help if you know all the vocabularies. So second type of question is the detailed questions. Like I mentioned earlier, detailed questions can be further divided into 5 types. You can see it on your screen. Detailed questions require you to listen carefully for key items in a conversation. You will need to answer questions about specific information that is not general information. Like I said earlier, so there are 5 types. Anything discussed in this conversation can be the basis of detailed questions, including time or reason or plans, problems, suggestions, opinions, or maybe other issues. So let's talk about the detailed questions about plans, problems, requests, or suggestions. So this type of detailed questions test your understanding of basic information that comes out in a conversation. So they often ask for information about what a speaker will do in the future, an issue the speakers is having, or something the speakers want, or something the speakers want others to do. You can see some of the examples on your screens about requests, suggestions, problems, or plans. So if it is a request, so these are some of the examples. If it's a suggestion, these are some of the examples here. And if it's a problem, these are some of the examples you can see it. And if there are some plans about the questions, so these are some of the examples. So if you ask me if there is something that can help you answer the question, so learn to recognize some common expressions and paraphrases for plans, problems, requests, or suggestions. Watch out for the correct speaker in the answer option. So second type of detailed questions is about cause and effect. Questions about cause and effect require you to identify something happened, or how an event changed a situation. So these questions test your understanding of why a speaker is addressing the other person, why a change occurred, or why a request was made. Look for infinitives, that is like to plus verb. So when pre-reading, try to recognize the to plus verb to recognize cause and effect questions. That is like to plus verb, that is example, for example, say to leave, or to increase, or to something like that, that will find a cause or an effect. Listen for words and expressions about cause and effect. So I will put some of the questions, example questions on the screen right here, right now. Next, it's the detailed questions about duration, frequency, and quantity. So this type of questions ask you to find the details about how long something lasts, that is duration, how often something happens, that is frequency, or the amount of something, that is quantity. So these questions usually require that you listen carefully for numbers, times, or details relating to days and dates. So learn to identify phrases for questions about duration, frequency, or quantity. You can look at the examples on the screen right here. I will also put some of the examples of paraphrases, like the difference between what you might hear, what might be asked, and what the correct answer is stated in the answer. This is the detailed questions about time. So questions about time require you to recall when a certain event occurred in the past or when it will occur in the future. So the answer options can include specific times of the day, as well as longer time periods such as hours, days, weeks, or months. So you have to learn how to identify paraphrases for questions about duration, frequency, or quantity, and you can have example. You can have a look at the examples on the screen right here. So up next, we have the detailed questions about identifying people or places. So questions about identifying people require you to figure out several things. You must sometimes find out which person or group will do the task, okay, or maybe cause an event, or is talked about in a conversation. So the correct answer can be one of the speakers, or it can be another person or group the speakers talked about. So this questions typically begin with the questions who. So questions about places require you to identify what location a speaker is going or coming from. So these questions may also be about the location where an event occurred or will occur in the future. This question type usually begins with where. So please look at the questions given on the screen right here. Well, we have finished talking about the main idea or main concept questions and then the detailed questions. Let's now go and talk about the inference questions. So inference questions require you to gather clues in order to make a conclusion about something. One type of inference question asks you to make inference about who a person is. Second type may ask you to make inferences about where someone is, or the last one is some inference questions ask how a person might feel. So remember, you have to remember that the correct answer to an inference question is not stated directly. So you must decide what the answer is based indirectly on the information in the conversation. Yeah. So pay attention to the details given about location or speakers. Please also look at the examples on the screen right here. Now that you're familiar with the possible question types that you can see in the section, let's do a couple of examples. Shall we start? All right then. So I'll put up some questions on the screen. Please go ahead and do the pre-reading before you hear the sounds and identify the type of questions. So here are the questions on the screen.
Questions 65 through 67 refer to the following conversation.
Hey Bob, that machine I bought at your showroom the other day, it really increased the productivity of my factory. In fact, by as much as 20%.
I'm glad to hear that, Al. I hope this means you'll be shopping more often at my showroom.
I probably will. Come to think of it, my workers need some new safety equipment. You know, hard hats, face masks, that sort of thing.
Well, you might want to stop by our showroom next week. That's when our annual discount sale starts, so you'll probably find a few bargains.
Number 65. What are the speakers discussing? Number 66. What kind of employees are mentioned? Number 67. What will happen next week?
I'm sure you finished answering the questions. So let's look at question number 65. What are the speakers discussing? So what is the correct answer for this? Opening a new showroom, changing employees' benefits, decreasing factory production, or purchasing industrial equipment. So based on the conversation we heard, so they are talking about industrial equipment, right? So purchasing, they want to buy hard hats and see, like they want to buy hard hats and everything, but before that they purchased a machine. Okay, so for this the answer is D. So question number 66, what kind of employees are mentioned? Accountants, security guards, product designers, and factory workers. This one is a bit tricky here. So they are talking about security guards and factory workers. So they want some like safety equipment, right? Safety equipment. So that's why the security guards look very appealing. But the answer is factory workers. They need hard hats, boots for the factory workers. And question number 67, what will happen next week? A sale will start, a show will be performed, a security inspection will be held, a business will close down. So for this, the correct answer is a sale will start. Okay, just go back and see question number 66, 65, 66, and 67 and see the type of questions. So 65 is a main idea. So, and how about 66? They are talking about detailed question. And what about 67? It's a inference. Okay, so let's move on and do another example. If you notice, the previous example can be seen in both the old test format and the new one. So the next example is about a conversation with a given graphic. So this is the change that you can see in the new format of 2020 TOEIC test. So look at the graphic during the pre-reading, listen to the conversation, and answer it accordingly. So are you ready? I will put up the questions on the screen, and also you will hear the sound.
Questions 62 through 64 refer to the following conversation and chart.
Tom, there's a new theatre production opening at the town playhouse, and some of us from work are planning to go. Are you interested?
Sure, I've heard it's a good play. How much do tickets cost?
It depends. Look, here's the information. We already have more than 10 people interested, so we should qualify for that price.
That's certainly reasonable. Would that be for this weekend?
Yes, after work on Friday. Do you want to go?
Sure. Are you going to order the tickets?
No, Mary Jones in the finance department is. You could give her a call and let her know to include you.
Number 62. What type of event are the speakers discussing? Number 63. Look at the graphic. What ticket price will the speakers probably pay? Number 64. What does the woman suggest the man do?
All right, now that you've heard the conversation and the responses, so let's go and look at the chart first. So look at the chart. So what can you see in the chart? So there is like admission price, there is the entry fee for university students, group of 10, a member and a non-member, and on the right hand side you can see the prices, right? So the first question they ask is, what type of events are the speakers discussing? So what are they talking about? They're talking about a play, right? So play is not given in the answer stem. So for play, you have to know that it's a theater performance. Okay, so the answer is A. And for question number 63, look at the graphic. What ticket price will the speakers probably pay? So they heard that there are 10 or more people from the office that are interested in going to the theater, so they will be eligible for US dollar 12, right? So the answer would be B. And for 64, what does the woman suggest the man to do? So the women suggested the man to call a co-worker or a colleague. Colleague and co-worker is the same. So the man will probably call the co-worker to book the tickets. So for 64, the answer would be B. So for 62, the answer is A. For 63, the answer is B. And for 64, the answer is B as well. Okay, so this is the major change that you can see with the graphic. So you have to look at the graphic and answer the question simultaneously.
Questions 56 through 58 refer to the following conversation with 3 speakers.
To start today's meeting, I'd like to talk about the recent drop in sales for our vitamins. Does anyone have any ideas?
You know, what we really should do is start advertising on social media websites. That would increase our client base and give Nectar Vitamins a more modern image. Bob, didn't you create ads for social media at your last job?
Yes, I did. I was responsible for promoting all of our products online.
That's great. Well, Bob, would you be willing to present some tips on online advertising at our next team meeting?
Sure, I can do that.
Number 56. What problem does the company have? Number 57. What does the woman suggest? Number 58. What does the woman ask Bob to do?
Oof, that was a lot of information, wasn't it? So this brings to the end of this session. I hope that this will help you during the test, and not only during the test, but also everyday life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Let's wrap this up here, and keep learning. Always remember, the more you learn, the more you earn. All right, see you then.